The morning sun cast long shadows across Camp Pendleton's rifle range as Staff Sergeant Elena Vasquez adjusted her weapon for the third time. The annual battalion marksmanship competition drew shooters from across the base, but today felt different. Whispers followed her to the firing line, and not the encouraging kind. Sergeant First Class Mike Torino watched her from the adjacent lane, his weathered face showing obvious irritation. 23 years in the Marines had taught him that some traditions shouldn't be broken, and women competing in what he considered his domain ranked high on that list. "You sure you can handle that rifle, sweetheart?" Torino called out, loud enough for the other shooters to hear. "Might be a little heavy for someone your size." Elena ignored him, running her hand along her custom M40A6. She'd spent months preparing for this competition, adjusting every component to match her shooting style perfectly. The rifle represented more than equipment to her. It was her ticket to proving that skill mattered more than assumptions. The range officer, Gunnery Sergeant Davis, called for equipment inspection. Elena placed her rifle on the bench and stepped back as required. Torino moved closer, ostensibly to check his own gear, but his eyes stayed fixed on her weapon. "Interesting modifications," he said, picking up her rifle without permission. "Custom trigger job, modified stock. Must have cost a fortune." Before Elena could respond, Torino's grip shifted. The distinctive crack of breaking polymer echoed across the range as her rifle stock separated cleanly in two pieces. The precision instrument she'd spent months perfecting was now effectively destroyed. "Oops," Torino said, his tone suggesting anything but accident. "Guess that expensive custom work wasn't built Marine tough after all. Equipment failure happens to the best of us." The other shooters turned to stare. Some looked genuinely shocked, but others wore expressions that suggested they'd expected something like this. Elena stood frozen, watching pieces of her rifle scattered across the concrete. Gunnery Sergeant Davis approached, his face grim. "What happened here, Sergeant?" "Stock failure during inspection," Torino replied smoothly. "Poor craftsmanship, I'd say. Probably best that we discovered it now instead of during the actual competition. Could have been dangerous." Elena finally found her voice. He broke it deliberately. I watched him apply pressure exactly where the modification joint was weakest. Torino's eyebrows rose in mock surprise. "That's a serious accusation, Sergeant Vasquez. Are you suggesting I would sabotage a fellow Marine's equipment? That seems like something someone might say when they realized their gear wasn't up to military standards." Davis looked between them, clearly uncomfortable with the situation but lacking concrete proof of deliberate sabotage. The modification point had indeed been the failure location, and equipment failures, while unusual, weren't unheard of during competitions. "I'm afraid you'll need a replacement rifle to continue competing," Davis said to Elena. "Standard issue M40A3S are available if you want to withdraw and use base equipment." The suggestion hung in the air like a challenge. Everyone knew that switching from a customized weapon to standard issue would severely impact any shooter's performance. It was effectively a polite way of suggesting she withdraw from the competition entirely. Torino smiled, clearly expecting her to accept defeat gracefully. "Don't feel bad about it, Vasquez. Not everyone's cut out for this level of competition. There's no shame in knowing your limitations." Elena looked down at her broken rifle, then at the faces surrounding her. Some showed pity, others satisfaction, but most displayed the same skeptical expression she'd grown accustomed to throughout her military career. The assumption that she didn't belong here, that her presence was merely a diversity statement rather than earned capability. She straightened her shoulders and met Torino's gaze directly. "Actually, I think I'll continue with the competition, but I won't need a standard issue rifle." Without waiting for his response, she reached over and lifted Torino's own M40A6 from his shooting bench. His custom weapon, perfectly zeroed and maintained, represented his own months of preparation and adjustment. "I'll use yours instead," she said calmly. "Since you seem so confident about equipment quality, I'm sure you won't mind lending me a rifle that can handle the competition pressure." The range fell silent. Borrowing another shooter's personalized weapon was practically unheard of, especially in a competition setting. Every rifle was individually customized, and using an unfamiliar weapon put any marksman at a severe disadvantage. Torino's face darkened. Now wait just a minute. That rifle is specifically adjusted for my shooting style. You can't just... Can't what? Elena interrupted. Use a properly maintained marine weapon? I thought you said equipment failures only happened to inferior gear. She examined his rifle with professional efficiency, checking the scope alignment and trigger pull. This seems well built. I'm sure someone with your experience wouldn't have any concerns about its performance capabilities. Davis looked uncertain about the irregular situation, but no competition rules explicitly prevented rifle sharing between participants. The other shooters watched with obvious fascination, sensing that something significant was about to unfold. Torino found himself trapped by his own earlier statements. Refusing to let her use his rifle would suggest either selfishness or lack of confidence in his own equipment. Either option would damage his reputation among the other Marines. Fine, he said through gritted teeth. But don't blame the equipment when you can't hit anything past 200 meters. That rifle's zeroed for someone who actually knows what they're doing. Elena smiled for the first time that morning. I appreciate the confidence. Let's see what we can accomplish together. As she settled into position with Torino's rifle, she could feel the weight of expectation from everyone watching. They expected her to fail spectacularly, to prove that her presence in the competition had been a mistake from the beginning. What they didn't know was that Elena Vasquez had been waiting for exactly this kind of moment her entire military career. The weight of Torino's rifle felt different in Elena's hands, but not unfamiliar. Years of training with various weapons had taught her to adapt quickly to new equipment. She ran her fingers along the stock, feeling for the balance point and trigger tension that would define her accuracy for the next several hours. First relay, take your positions, Gunnery Sergeant Davis announced. 200-meter targets, 10 rounds for record. Shooters have 20 minutes to complete the string. Elena settled into her prone position, adjusting her body alignment to accommodate the slightly different scope height on Torino's rifle. Around her, the other competitors made their final preparations, but she could feel their attention focused more on her than their own equipment. Corporal James Mitchell, shooting 2 lanes over, leaned toward his partner. $20 says she doesn't even hit the target frame at this distance. Using someone else's rifle is like trying to drive their car blindfolded. His shooting partner, Sergeant Lopez, shook his head slowly. I'll take that bet, but not the way you think. Something about how calm she looks makes me nervous. Torino positioned himself behind the firing line where he could observe Elena's performance with his rifle. His expression showed confident expectation of failure, but his hands clenched and unclenched repeatedly, betraying his actual anxiety about the situation. Elena chambered her first round and settled her cheek against the stock. The scope picture came into focus, revealing the standard military silhouette target 200 meters downrange. She took 3 deep breaths, allowing her heart rate to settle into the steady rhythm that preceded her best shooting. Commence firing, Davis called. The range erupted with the controlled thunder of precision rifles. Elena waited, letting the other shooters establish their rhythm before taking her first shot. She wanted to understand how Torino's rifle behaved, how it recoiled, how the trigger broke under pressure. Her first shot surprised her with its crisp trigger release. Torino had done excellent work customizing the weapon, creating a trigger that broke cleanly at exactly 2.5 pounds of pressure. Through her scope, she could see the bullet hole appearing just outside the 10 ring at 2 o'clock. First shot's off, Mitchell called out, loud enough for others to hear. Told you she'd struggle with an unfamiliar weapon. Elena made a minute adjustment to her scope, compensating for the slight difference between her 0 and Torino's. Her second shot landed dead center in the 10 ring, followed immediately by her third in nearly the same location. The confident chatter around her began to fade as she continued her string. Shot after shot landed in the center of the target, creating a tight group that even experienced marksmen would respect. By her 7th round, the range had grown noticeably quieter, Torino's confident expression had transformed into something approaching concern. "Lucky string," he muttered to himself, but his voice lacked conviction. Elena's final 3 shots landed in a cluster so tight they appeared to be a single ragged hole in the center of the target. When a ceasefire was called, she had fired a perfect score of 100 points, with a group size that measured less than 2 inches at 200 meters. Davis walked to her target, measuring the group with obvious surprise. Sergeant Vasquez, perfect score. Group measures 1.7 inches. He turned to address the other shooters. "That's the best opening string we've seen this year." The range fell silent, except for the whisper of wind through the California hills. Elena stood and safed her rifle, acting as though exceptional accuracy was simply routine business. "Beginner's luck," Torino said, but his voice had lost its earlier certainty. 200 meters is just warm-up shooting. Wait until we get to the real distances." Mitchell approached Elena's lane, staring at her target with obvious disbelief. "How did you zero that rifle so quickly? Most shooters need at least 10 rounds to adjust to a new weapon." Elena smiled slightly. "The rifle was already well zeroed. I just needed to understand how it wanted to shoot." She looked directly at Torino. "Your equipment is actually quite good, Sergeant. Very responsive trigger work. Where many of you might be watching this from ranges across the country, from Camp Pendleton to Fort Bragg, you understand that shooting isn't just about equipment. It's about adaptability, reading conditions, and making precise adjustments under pressure." Elena was demonstrating all 3 skills simultaneously. The second relay moved to the 300-meter line, where wind conditions would become a more significant factor. Elena could see several shooters glancing nervously between her and the distant targets, clearly reconsidering their earlier assumptions about her capabilities. Torino followed the group to the new firing position, his jaw set in determination. 300 meters changes everything," he announced to anyone within hearing. "Wind reading becomes critical. Can't just point and shoot anymore." Elena examined the wind flags positioned along the range, noting the shifting patterns that would affect bullet trajectory. Torino's rifle scope included excellent wind compensation marks, another sign of a serious approach to precision shooting. "Second relay, 200 meters was just the beginning," Davis called out. 300 meters, 15 rounds for record. Wind is variable from 5 to 12 miles per hour, left to right. Shooters have 30 minutes. As Elena settled into position again, she could feel the increased tension around her. The first string could be dismissed as luck or favorable conditions, but consistent performance at longer ranges would require genuine skill that couldn't be explained away. Torino positioned himself where he could observe both Elena and the wind flag simultaneously. His equipment was performing far better in her hands than he had anticipated, and the realization was clearly uncomfortable for him. "She's about to learn what real shooting looks like," he told Mitchell. "Anyone can get lucky at 200. 300 separates the shooters from the pretenders." Elena chambered her first round for the longer distance, studying the wind patterns one final time before settling into her shooting position. The target appeared smaller through the scope, and the wind flags showed the shifting conditions that would challenge even experienced marksmen. Her first shot at 300 meters landed in the 9 ring, slightly affected by a wind gust she had underestimated. She made a quick adjustment and fired again, this time landing solidly in the 10 ring despite the challenging conditions. The pattern continued as she worked through her string, each shot demonstrating her ability to read wind conditions and make real-time corrections. By the time she finished her 15 rounds, she had fired another near-perfect score, dropping only 6 points to wind-affected shots. Davis examined her target with growing amazement. 94 out of 100 possible points. Group size under 3 inches in variable wind conditions. He looked directly at Elena. "Sergeant, where exactly did you learn to shoot like this?" Elena stood and cleared her rifle, maintaining the same calm demeanor she had shown throughout both strings. "Same place as everyone else, Gunny. Marine Corps training and lots of practice." But Torino was no longer buying simple explanations. As he stared at his own rifle in Elena's hands, He was beginning to realize that he might have made a serious tactical error in challenging someone whose capabilities he had severely underestimated. The transition to the 500-meter line brought new challenges and new observers. Word of Elena's performance had spread beyond the immediate competitors, drawing range officers and instructors from other training areas. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez from the Scout Sniper School appeared at the edge of the range, his weathered face showing professional interest. Elena noticed the growing audience, but kept her focus on the mechanical aspects of long-range shooting. 500 meters required different calculations, different wind reading techniques, and absolute precision in trigger control. Torino's rifle would be tested at its effective limits, and so would she. 500 meters is where shooters separate from snipers, Torino announced to the gathered crowd. His voice carried forced confidence, but his eyes kept returning to his rifle in Elena's hands. Most people can't even see the target clearly at this distance, much less hit it consistently. The targets had been replaced with smaller silhouettes, their scoring rings compressed to account for the increased difficulty. What appeared as a generous 10 ring at shorter distances now seemed impossibly small through the rifle's scope. Corporal Mitchell had abandoned his own shooting preparation to watch Elena's performance. She's been lucky so far, but physics doesn't lie. Bullet drop at 500 meters is significant, and wind drift becomes exponential. She's about to hit the wall. Elena studied the range conditions carefully. The wind had increased to a steady 15 miles per hour with gusts approaching 20. The flag along the range showed the complex patterns that would challenge even experienced long-range shooters. Heat shimmer rising from the desert floor added another variable to consider. Gunnery Sergeant Davis approached the firing line with obvious curiosity about Elena's continued performance. Sergeant Vasquez, 500 meters requires different techniques than the shorter distances. Take your time reading conditions before engaging targets. She nodded and settled into her shooting position, adjusting her body alignment for the steeper angle required at longer range. Through the scope, she could see other shooters struggling with the challenging conditions, their shots scattered across the target frames. Her first shot at 500 meters landed in the 8 ring, affected by wind conditions she had slightly misread. Elena made mental notes about the actual versus predicted bullet path, adjusting her understanding of how Torino's rifle behaved at extended range. The second shot landed in the 9 ring, closer to her intended point of impact. She was learning the rifle's characteristics quickly, adapting to its specific ballistic signature with each round fired. Torino moved closer to observe her technique, his expression shifting between skepticism and grudging professional interest. "Wind's gusting pretty hard," he said to Rodriguez. "Even good shooters struggle in these conditions." Rodriguez watched Elena's methodical approach with obvious appreciation. Her fundamentals looked solid. Breathing, trigger control, follow-through. Someone taught her well. By her 5th shot, Elena had found the rhythm that worked with Torino's rifle at extended range. Her shots began clustering in the 9 and 10 rings despite the challenging wind conditions, each round demonstrating increasing familiarity with the weapon's capabilities. The gathered observers grew quieter as her performance continued. What had started as curious observation was becoming professional respect, mixed with growing amazement. Elena was not merely competent at long-range shooting. She was demonstrating expertise that matched or exceeded most of the instructors present. 12 shots remaining, Davis called out. Wind conditions remain variable. Shooters should adjust accordingly. Elena's remaining shots formed a tight cluster in the center of the target, each round landing within inches of her intended point of impact. The wind conditions that were scattering other shooters' bullets seemed to have minimal effect on her accuracy. When the string concluded, Davis walked to her target with measuring equipment, followed by Rodriguez and several other observers. The group size at 500 meters measured just under 4 inches, an exceptional result under any conditions. 88 points out of 100 possible, Davis announced. Group size 3.9 inches in variable wind conditions exceeding 15 miles per hour. Rodriguez approached Elena directly. "Sergeant, what's your military occupational specialty?" Your technique suggests advanced training beyond basic marksmanship. Elena cleared her rifle and stood, maintaining her professional demeanor. Military intelligence specialist, staff sergeant. But I've always enjoyed shooting as a hobby. The explanation seemed insufficient given her demonstrated performance, but Rodriguez simply nodded. Military personnel often had skills that extended beyond their official job descriptions, especially those who pursued excellence in their personal time. Torino's confident predictions were beginning to sound hollow as Elena continued exceeding expectations with his own equipment. "Still got 800 meters and unknown distance to go," he said to Mitchell. "Real long-range shooting is different from anything we've seen so far." The crowd began moving toward the 800-meter line, where conditions would become even more challenging. Elena noticed several competitors glancing nervously in her direction, clearly reconsidering their chances of winning the overall competition. As they walked to the next firing position, Rodriguez fell into step beside Elena. "Sergeant, I've been running sniper training for 8 years. Your performance today suggests experience beyond hobby shooting. Mind if I ask where you developed these skills?" Elena smiled slightly. "Various assignments, Staff Sergeant. The Marine Corps provides excellent training opportunities for those who seek them out." Rodriguez studied her face carefully, sensing there was more to her story than she was sharing. "Indeed it does. I'm looking forward to seeing how you handle the longer distances." The 800-meter line presented the most challenging conditions yet. Wind patterns became more complex over the extended distance, and bullet drop required precise calculations. Elena examined Torino's rifle scope, noting the ballistic compensation marks that would be critical for accurate range estimation. "This is where we separate the professionals from the amateurs," Torino announced, but his voice lacked its earlier certainty. Elena's consistent performance was forcing him to reconsider his assumptions about her capabilities. As Elena prepared for the 800-meter string, she could feel the weight of expectation from the gathered observers. They had witnessed exceptional shooting at shorter ranges, but 800 meters would test skills that few Marines possessed. What they didn't realize was that Elena Vasquez had been engaging targets at ranges far exceeding 800 meters long before this competition began. The skills she was demonstrating had been developed under conditions far more challenging than a controlled range environment. The real test was just beginning, and Elena was ready to show exactly what professional-level marksmanship looked like when applied with proper equipment and favorable conditions. 800 meters stretched across the California desert like a test of both equipment and human capability. The targets appeared as distant specks through rifle scopes, challenging even experienced marksmen to maintain accuracy at the edge of their weapon's effective range. Heat waves shimmered across the intervening ground, creating optical distortions that would confuse range estimation and bullet trajectory. Elena studied the conditions methodically, noting how the wind patterns had become more complex over the extended distance. Multiple flags along the range showed different wind directions and speeds, creating a puzzle that required careful analysis before each shot. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez positioned himself where he could observe both Elena's technique and her target results. His presence had attracted other instructors from the Scouts Sniper School, creating an informal gathering of the base's most experienced marksmen. 800 meters with iron sights was standard for Marine riflemen in World War I, Rodriguez commented to his colleagues. "Modern optics make it easier, but reading conditions at this distance still separates good shooters from exceptional ones." Torino checked his watch nervously, realizing that Elena had been using his rifle for nearly 3 hours with consistently outstanding results. What had started as a confident gesture to expose her limitations was becoming an uncomfortable demonstration of her superior shooting skills. The first shots from other competitors confirmed the difficulty of the 800-meter challenge. Even experienced shooters were struggling with the complex wind conditions, their bullets scattering across the target frames despite careful preparation. Elena chambered her first round and settled into her shooting position with the same methodical approach she had used at shorter distances. Through Torino's scope, she could see the target clearly despite the heat shimmer and distance. Her breathing settled into the controlled pattern that preceded her most accurate shooting. Her first shot at 800 meters landed in the 9 ring, slightly left of center due to wind conditions she had underestimated. She made mental adjustments for the next shot, accounting for the bullet's longer flight time and increased wind drift over the extended distance. The second shot landed dead center in the 10 ring, followed by her third in nearly the same location. Elena was demonstrating the ability to make real-time corrections that indicated extensive experience with long-range shooting under varying conditions. Corporal Mitchell abandoned his own shooting entirely to watch Elena's performance. "This isn't possible," he muttered to himself. "Nobody adapts to an unfamiliar rifle this quickly, especially at these distances." Rodriguez moved closer to observe Elena's technique directly. Her body position showed textbook fundamentals, but more importantly, her mental approach demonstrated the calm confidence of someone who had engaged similar targets many times before. Breathing, trigger control, follow-through, Rodriguez noted quietly, but also wind reading, range estimation, and ballistic compensation. She's applying advanced techniques most Marines never learn. Elena continued working through her string with mechanical precision, each shot demonstrating increasing familiarity with how Torino's rifle performed at extended range. The wind conditions that were defeating other shooters seemed to have minimal impact on her accuracy. By her 10th shot, she had established a rhythm that produced consistent hits in the center of the target. The gathered instructors watched with growing amazement as she maintained accuracy that exceeded most of their own students' capabilities. Torino's confident predictions had completely evaporated as Elena continued exceeding expectations with his equipment. "She's got to be military intelligence for a reason," he said to Mitchell. "Maybe she's had specialized training we don't know about." The suggestion offered a face-saving explanation for Elena's superior performance. But Rodriguez suspected there was more to her story than standard military training would explain. Her technique showed refinements that came from extensive practical application under challenging conditions. When Elena completed her 15-round string at 800 meters, Davis walked to her target with obvious anticipation. The scoring revealed another exceptional performance that defied the challenging conditions and extended range. 85 points out of 100 possible, Davis announced. Group size 4.2 inches at 800 meters in variable wind conditions. The gathered instructors exchanged meaningful glances. Elena's performance was approaching the level they expected from their most advanced sniper students, not from a military intelligence specialist competing in a routine marksmanship contest. Rodriguez approached Elena directly as she cleared her rifle. "Sergeant, your performance today has been exceptional. Would you mind sharing where you developed these particular skills?" Elena maintained her professional demeanor while deflecting the increasingly pointed questions about her background. "Thank you, Staff Sergeant. The Marine Corps provides excellent training opportunities for those who pursue them." The non-answer was becoming a pattern, but Rodriguez recognized the discretion that often accompanied certain military specialties. Some Marines had experiences they couldn't discuss openly, even with fellow service members. As the competition moved toward the final phase, Elena noticed the change in atmosphere around her. What had started as skeptical observation had evolved into respectful attention, mixed with professional curiosity about her actual background and training. The unknown distance phase would present the ultimate test of her abilities. Targets would be placed at unmarked ranges, requiring shooters to estimate distance accurately before engaging. It was a skill that separated recreational marksmen from those who had applied their abilities under operational conditions. Torino retrieved his spotting scope and followed the group toward the unknown distance course. His rifle had performed flawlessly in Elena's hands, producing accuracy that exceeded his own best efforts with the same equipment. "Unknown distance is the real test," he announced to the remaining competitors, but his voice lacked its earlier conviction. "Range estimation separates the pretenders from the professionals." Elena smiled slightly as she prepared for the final phase of competition. Unknown distance shooting was indeed the ultimate test of marksmanship skills, requiring the integration of multiple techniques under time pressure. What the observers didn't realize was that Elena had been engaging unknown distance targets under far more challenging conditions than a controlled range environment could simulate. The skills she was about to demonstrate had been developed in places where missing the target carried consequences far beyond competition scoring. The final test would reveal exactly what level of professional marksmanship looked like when applied with proper equipment and favorable conditions. The unknown distance course stretched across varied terrain that challenged both marksmanship skills and tactical awareness. Targets had been positioned at ranges from 300 to 1,200 meters, concealed among natural cover that required careful observation to identify. Each shooter would have 30 minutes to engage as many targets as possible without being told their distances. Elena followed the other competitors to the observation platform, where they would study the course before beginning their shooting strings. The terrain included rolling hills, scattered vegetation, and rock formations that created natural hiding spots for the silhouette targets. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez briefed the remaining shooters on the unknown distance procedures. You'll have 5 minutes to study the course with binoculars before shooting begins. Targets are worth different point values based on difficulty and range. Maximum possible score is 200 points. The observation period revealed the true complexity of the challenge. Targets were partially concealed behind rocks, positioned in shadow areas, and placed at angles that made range estimation particularly difficult. Some appeared as barely visible shapes that could easily be mistaken for natural terrain features. Torino studied the course through his binoculars with obvious concentration. "This is where real training shows," he told Mitchell. "Range estimation under field conditions requires experience you can't get from a classroom." Elena used her observation time methodically, identifying target locations and making preliminary range estimates based on terrain features and known reference points. Her approach showed the systematic thinking of someone who had engaged similar challenges under operational conditions. The first competitor began his string with careful deliberation, taking nearly 2 minutes to estimate range for his first target. His shot missed completely, the bullet striking well short of the intended silhouette positioned among distant rocks. Subsequent shooters demonstrated varying levels of success, with most managing to hit approximately half their attempted targets. The combination of range estimation and field conditions proved challenging even for experienced marksmen. When Elena's turn arrived, she approached the firing position with the same calm confidence she had maintained throughout the competition. Torino positioned himself where he could observe her technique while spotting her shots through his own equipment. "Let's see how she handles real field conditions," Rodriguez said to his colleagues. Unknown distance shooting reveals whether someone has practical experience or just range training. Elena's first target selection surprised the observers. Instead of starting with closer, easier shots, she chose a partially concealed silhouette that appeared to be positioned at approximately 600 meters among scattered boulders. Her range estimation process took less than 30 seconds, using terrain features and angular measurements to calculate distance quickly and accurately. The speed of her assessment suggested extensive practice with field shooting techniques. Her first shot struck the target's center mass, producing an immediate hit at a range that had defeated several previous shooters. Elena moved smoothly to her next target without celebrating or dwelling on the successful engagement. The second target appeared even more challenging, positioned at what looked like 800 meters on a hillside partially obscured by vegetation. Elena's range estimation was again rapid and confident, followed by a shot that struck the target cleanly. Rodriguez leaned forward with obvious interest. Her target selection and engagement sequence show tactical thinking. She's not just shooting randomly. She's working a pattern that maximizes her scoring potential. Elena continued engaging targets with methodical efficiency, hitting silhouettes that other shooters had missed entirely or failed to identify among the natural terrain. Her success rate approached 90% as she worked through increasingly difficult targets. Torino watched his rifle perform flawlessly in Elena's hands, producing accuracy at unknown distances that exceeded his own best efforts during similar exercises. She's making this look easy, he muttered to Mitchell. Range estimation shouldn't be this accurate without laser measurement. The most challenging target appeared as a barely visible shape positioned at maximum range among distant rock formations. Previous shooters had either ignored it entirely or missed by significant margins when they attempted the shot. Elena studied the target carefully through Torino's scope, making calculations based on the target's apparent size and the terrain features surrounding it. Her range estimation suggested the target was positioned at approximately 1,100 meters. Her shot at the distant target seemed to hang in the air for an impossibly long time before the distinctive sound of bullet impact on steel confirmed another direct hit. The successful engagement at extreme range drew immediate attention from all observers. 1,100-meter hit on unknown distance target, Rodriguez announced with obvious amazement. That's exceptional shooting under any circumstances. Elena's remaining targets fell in rapid succession as she demonstrated range estimation capabilities that approached professional sniper standards. Her final score of 185 points out of 200 possible left the other competitors and instructors staring in amazement. Davis approached Elena as she cleared Torino's rifle for the final time. Sergeant Vasquez, your performance today has been extraordinary. Unknown distance shooting at this level suggests training and experience beyond standard military programs. Elena maintained her professional demeanor while returning Torino's rifle to him. Thank you, Gunny. Your equipment performed excellently throughout the competition. Torino accepted his rifle with obvious mixed emotions. Elena had achieved results with his weapon that exceeded his own capabilities, demonstrating skills that transformed his act of sabotage into an inadvertent showcase of her superior abilities. Rodriguez studied Elena carefully, clearly sensing there was more to her background than she was revealing. Sergeant, would you be interested in discussing advanced training opportunities? Your demonstrated skills suggest potential for specialized programs. Elena smiled politely, but deflected the suggestion. I appreciate the offer, Staff Sergeant, but I'm content with my current assignment and duties. The competition concluded with Elena winning by a margin that left no doubt about her superior marksmanship abilities. What had started as an attempt to expose her limitations had become a demonstration of skills that exceeded most professional military marksmen. As the crowd began dispersing, Elena noticed the changed atmosphere around her. The skeptical glances and dismissive comments had been replaced by respectful acknowledgement and professional curiosity about her actual background and training. Torino approached her quietly as she prepared to leave the range. Sergeant Vasquez, I owe you an apology. My actions this morning were unprofessional and inappropriate. Elena looked at him directly. Thank you for the apology, Sergeant Torino. And thank you for the use of your rifle. It's an excellent weapon that performed beautifully today. As she walked away from the range, Elena reflected on the day's events with satisfaction. Sometimes the best response to doubt and sabotage was simply to demonstrate exactly what professional competence looked like when given the opportunity to shine. The drive back to the main base passed in contemplative silence as word of Elena's performance spread through unofficial channels. Marines from other units began gathering around the competition results posted outside the base headquarters, studying scores that defied conventional expectations about marksmanship capabilities. Elena returned Torino's rifle cleaning kit to him outside the armory, their interaction notably different from the morning's confrontational atmosphere. His equipment had performed flawlessly in her hands, producing results that exceeded his own best efforts with the same weapon. Sergeant Vasquez, Torino said quietly, I need to ask you something directly. What did you really learn to shoot like that? Your performance today wasn't hobby-level marksmanship. Elena considered her response carefully before answering. Various assignments over the years, Sergeant. The Marine Corps provides excellent training for those who seek it out and apply themselves consistently. The answer remained diplomatically vague, but Torino sensed the underlying truth that Elena couldn't or wouldn't discuss openly. Some Marines had experiences they kept confidential, even from fellow service members. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez appeared as Elena prepared to leave the armory area. "Sergeant, do you have a few minutes? I'd like to discuss your performance today and some potential opportunities." They walked to Rodriguez's office in the Scout Sniper School building, passing walls decorated with photographs of successful graduates and their achievements in various combat theaters. Elena noticed several images that looked familiar from her own operational experiences. Rodriguez closed his office door and gestured for Elena to take a seat. "Sergeant Vasquez, in 8 years of running sniper training programs, I've rarely seen shooting that approach your level of consistency and accuracy under field conditions." Elena maintained her professional demeanor while remaining non-committal about her background. "Thank you, Staff Sergeant. Today's conditions were favorable for accurate shooting." Rodriguez studied her carefully, clearly sensing there was more to her story than standard military training would explain. Favorable conditions don't account for range estimation accuracy at 1,100 meters or consistent hits under variable wind conditions. Those skills require extensive practical application. The conversation continued for several minutes, with Rodriguez probing diplomatically for information about Elena's actual training and experience. Her responses remained professionally appropriate while revealing nothing about specialized assignments or advanced training programs. Meanwhile, back at the competition site, other participants were discussing Elena's performance with mixtures of amazement and professional respect. The score she had achieved with borrowed equipment exceeded most shooters' best efforts with their own customized weapons. Corporal Mitchell approached several instructors who had observed the competition. "Staff Sergeant, I've been shooting competitively for 6 years. What we saw today wasn't normal marksmanship improvement. Nobody adapts to unfamiliar equipment that quickly." The instructors exchanged knowing glances, but offered no explanations for Elena's exceptional performance. Military personnel sometimes had capabilities that extended beyond their official job descriptions, particularly those involved in specialized or classified assignments. As evening approached, Elena completed her administrative duties related to the competition and prepared to return to her regular assignment. The day had demonstrated her capabilities convincingly, but it had also raised questions about her background that she preferred to leave unanswered. Torino found her in the parking lot outside the base headquarters. "Sergeant Vasquez, I want to apologize again for this morning. Breaking your rifle was deliberate, and it was wrong." Elena turned to face him directly. "I appreciate the apology, Sergeant Torino. More importantly, I hope today demonstrated that assumptions about people's capabilities can be inaccurate." Torino nodded with obvious embarrassment about his earlier behavior. "It definitely did. Your shooting today was exceptional by any standard. I learned something important about making judgments without facts." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Rodriguez, who approached with obvious purpose. "Sergeant Vasquez, I've been thinking about our earlier discussion. Would you consider providing some informal instruction to our advanced students? Your techniques could benefit their development." Elena considered the offer carefully before responding. "I appreciate the confidence, Staff Sergeant, but my current duties keep me quite busy. Perhaps in the future when my schedule permits." Rodriguez accepted the diplomatic deflection, but clearly remained interested in Elena's potential contributions to advanced training programs. "Of course, the offer remains open whenever your circumstances allow." As Elena drove away from Camp Pendleton, she reflected on the day's events with satisfaction. The competition had provided an opportunity to demonstrate capabilities that skeptics had questioned, while maintaining discretion about experiences that couldn't be discussed openly. Her broken rifle lay in pieces in her gear bag, a reminder of how assumptions and prejudice could lead to tactical errors. Torino's sabotage had backfired spectacularly, providing her with superior equipment and an audience to witness her actual marksmanship capabilities. The next morning brought new assignments and regular duties that had nothing to do with precision shooting or competition results. Elena returned to her role as a military intelligence specialist, carrying out responsibilities that appeared routine to casual observers. But word of her performance had spread through unofficial channels, reaching personnel who understood the significance of her demonstrated capabilities. Some assignments required skills that weren't listed in official job descriptions, and Elena's shooting had revealed abilities that could prove valuable in specialized situations. Rodriguez continued thinking about Elena's performance as he prepared training schedules for upcoming classes. Students could benefit from exposure to her level of marksmanship, but he suspected her actual background included experiences that couldn't be shared in conventional training environments. The competition results remained posted outside base headquarters for several days, drawing continued attention from Marines who studied scores that challenged conventional expectations about shooting capabilities. Elena's name appeared at the top of every category, followed by margins that left no doubt about her superior performance. Torino kept his rifle in exceptional condition, maintaining the equipment that had performed so well in Elena's hands. The experience had taught him valuable lessons about assumptions, professionalism, and the importance of recognizing capability regardless of its source. Elena's victory had been complete and decisive, achieved with borrowed equipment under challenging conditions that tested skills most Marines never developed. Her performance demonstrated that excellence could emerge from unexpected sources when given the opportunity to prove itself. 3 weeks after the competition, Elena's exceptional performance continued generating discussion throughout Camp Pendleton. Her scores have been officially recorded in base marksmanship records, where they stood as benchmarks that future competitors would struggle to match. The broken pieces of her original rifle had been carefully examined by the base armorer, who confirmed that the stock failure occurred at exactly the modification point where stress would be concentrated. The damage pattern supported Elena's claim of deliberate sabotage, though no formal investigation was pursued. Elena returned to her regular duties in the intelligence section, analyzing reports and preparing briefings that seemed mundane compared to the excitement of competition shooting. Her colleagues treated her with newfound respect, having learned about her marksmanship achievements through the efficient military grapevine. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez had incorporated discussions of Elena's techniques into his advanced sniper training curriculum, using her performance as an example of adaptability and field shooting skills. Students studied her scores with obvious amazement at what she had accomplished with borrowed equipment. Unknown distance shooting requires integration of multiple skills, Rodriguez explained to his current class. Sergeant Vasquez demonstrated textbook technique combined with practical experience that produced exceptional results under challenging conditions. The students examined Elena's target results with professional interest, noting the consistency she had maintained across varying distances and environmental conditions. Her performance served as motivation for their own skill development, while highlighting the standards achievable through dedicated training. Torino had become something of an advocate for Elena's capabilities, sharing details of her performance with anyone who questioned her achievements. His rifle continued performing excellently, maintained with extra care after its role in demonstrating superior marksmanship skills. She made shots with my equipment that I couldn't duplicate under ideal conditions, Torino told other instructors. Range estimation at 1,100 meters without laser measurement, consistent hits in variable wind conditions. That's professional-level shooting. Elena's reputation had spread beyond Camp Pendleton through informal networks that connected military marksmanship instructors across different bases. Her scores were discussed in online forums where competitive shooters shared techniques and compared achievements. The attention remained professionally respectful, but Elena noticed increased interest in her background and training history. Requests for information about her techniques and experience came from instructors at other installations who wanted to understand her methods. Rodriguez approached Elena during a chance encounter outside the base commissary. "Sergeant, I've been receiving inquiries about your shooting techniques from instructors at other bases. Would you consider providing some written guidance for training programs?" Elena considered the request carefully before responding. "I appreciate the interest, Staff Sergeant, but I believe my techniques are fairly standard. Good fundamentals applied consistently under various conditions." The modest response was typical of Elena's approach to discussing her capabilities, But Rodriguez suspected there was more depth to her experience than she was comfortable revealing publicly. Military intelligence work had taught Elena the value of discretion about capabilities and background that might attract unwanted attention. Exceptional marksmanship skills could lead to assignment offers that might conflict with her current preferences and responsibilities. Her performance had already generated subtle inquiries from personnel who worked in specialized units that valued advanced shooting capabilities. Elena deflected these approaches politely while maintaining focus on her current assignment and duties. The competition had achieved its intended purpose of demonstrating her capabilities to skeptics, but had also revealed skills that raised questions about her actual background and training history. Some experiences were better left undiscussed in professional settings. Elena's broken rifle had been replaced through official channels, though the new weapon lacked the custom modifications that had made her original equipment so effective. She accepted the standard issue replacement without complaint, understanding that exceptional equipment was a privilege rather than a right. Torino had offered to help her develop modifications for the new rifle, suggesting improvements based on what he had learned about her shooting preferences during the competition. The gesture represented a complete reversal from his earlier antagonistic behavior. "I know some excellent gunsmiths who could customize your new rifle," Torino suggested during a brief conversation outside the armory. "After seeing what you accomplish with my equipment, I'd like to help you get something that matches your capabilities." Elena appreciated the offer, but declined politely, explaining that standard equipment was sufficient for her current needs. Custom modifications required maintenance and attention that might not be practical given her assignment requirements. The competition results remained posted at various locations around the base, serving as motivation for other Marines pursuing marksmanship excellence. Elena's name had become synonymous with exceptional shooting, though she preferred to avoid the attention that accompanied her achievement. Rodriguez continued incorporating lessons from Elena's performance into his training programs, emphasizing the importance of adaptability and mental preparation for challenging shooting conditions. Her techniques had provided valuable insights for instructor development. "Exceptional marksmanship requires more than equipment," Rodriguez told his colleagues during an instructor meeting. Sergeant Vasquez demonstrated that skill, preparation, and mental discipline can overcome equipment disadvantages in challenging conditions. Elena's victory had been decisive and memorable, achieved under circumstances that highlighted both her capabilities and her character. The broken rifle that had been intended to sabotage her performance had instead provided an opportunity to demonstrate skills that exceeded all expectations. As time passed, the immediate excitement of the competition faded into routine military life, but the lessons learned remained relevant for everyone involved. Elena had proven that assumptions about capability could be dangerously inaccurate, while Torino had learned valuable lessons about professionalism and respect. The competition had changed perspectives and relationships in ways that extended beyond simple marksmanship achievement. Elena's performance had demonstrated that excellence could emerge from unexpected sources when given the opportunity to prove itself under fair conditions. 6 months had passed since the competition that transformed Elena's reputation at Camp Pendleton. Her exceptional performance had become part of base folklore, with new Marines hearing stories about the intelligence specialist who had outshot an entire battalion with borrowed equipment. Elena maintained her regular duties while politely declining the various opportunities that her demonstrated marksmanship skills had generated. Specialized units had made informal inquiries about her availability, but she remained committed to her current assignment and responsibilities. The annual awards ceremony approached, bringing recognition for various achievements throughout the previous year. Elena's competition victory had earned her nomination for the Base Marksmanship Award, though she had initially requested that her name be withdrawn from consideration. Colonel Martinez, the base commander, had personally overruled her request during a private meeting in his office. Sergeant Vasquez, exceptional performance deserves recognition. Your achievement reflects well on the entire base and serves as inspiration for other Marines. Rodriguez had compiled a detailed report documenting Elena's competition performance for the awards board. The scores and conditions were analyzed professionally, highlighting techniques and results that exceeded normal expectations for military marksmanship competitions. Sergeant Vasquez demonstrated adaptability, precision, and mental discipline under challenging conditions, Rodriguez wrote in his recommendation. Her performance with unfamiliar equipment showcased skills that represent the highest standards of Marine marksmanship excellence. Torino had also submitted a statement supporting Elena's recognition, acknowledging both his initial misjudgment and her professional response to deliberate sabotage. His account provided context that made her achievement even more impressive to the awards board. Despite equipment sabotage designed to prevent her participation, Sergeant Vasquez maintained professional composure and achieved exceptional results that exceeded the performance of all other competitors, Torino's statement read. Elena prepared for the awards ceremony with mixed feelings about the public recognition. She appreciated the acknowledgement of her capabilities, but preferred the discretion that had characterized her military career up to that point. The ceremony drew attendees from across the base, including many Marines who had heard about Elena's legendary performance but had never witnessed it directly. Her story had grown through retelling, though the basic facts remained impressive enough without embellishment. Colonel Martinez called Elena forward to receive the Base Marksmanship Award, reading a citation that detailed her competition victory and its significance for Marine marksmanship standards. The applause from the assembled Marines was genuine and sustained. Sergeant Elena Vasquez demonstrated exceptional marksmanship skills under adverse conditions, achieving scores that established new base records for accuracy and consistency, Martinez announced. Her performance exemplifies the excellence we expect from all Marines. Elena accepted the award with appropriate military bearing, though she remained uncomfortable with the attention her achievement had generated. The recognition was gratifying, but she preferred her capabilities to speak for themselves through professional performance. Following the ceremony, Elena was approached by numerous Marines seeking advice about marksmanship training and technique development. She provided general guidance while maintaining discretion about the specific experiences that had shaped her exceptional abilities. Rodriguez used the ceremony as an opportunity to discuss Elena's potential contributions to advanced training programs. Sergeant, your techniques could benefit our most advanced students. Would you consider providing occasional instruction when your schedule permits? Elena considered the request more seriously than previous similar offers, recognizing that sharing knowledge could benefit other Marines pursuing marksmanship excellence. Perhaps some informal guidance sessions, Staff Sergeant. Nothing that would interfere with my primary duties. The compromise satisfied Rodriguez while allowing Elena to maintain focus on her intelligence work. Occasional instruction would provide valuable experience for students without requiring extensive time commitments or formal training responsibilities. Torino approached Elena after the ceremony to congratulate her on the recognition. Sergeant Vasquez, you earned this award through exceptional performance under difficult circumstances. I'm honored that my equipment played a small role in your achievement. Elena appreciated Torino's continued support and professional growth since their initial confrontation. Thank you, Sergeant Torino. Your rifle performed excellently that day, and your maintenance standards were clearly superior. The conversation reflected the mutual respect that had developed between them following the competition. Torino had learned valuable lessons about assumptions and professionalism, while Elena had demonstrated the importance of maintaining dignity under challenging circumstances. As the evening concluded, Elena reflected on the journey from skeptical dismissal to formal recognition of her capabilities. The broken rifle that had threatened to end her competition participation had instead become the catalyst for demonstrating skills that exceeded all expectations. Her award represented more than personal achievement. It symbolized the importance of recognizing capability regardless of its source or the assumptions that might obscure it. Elena had proven that excellence could emerge from unexpected places when given fair opportunity to shine. The recognition also brought responsibility to serve as an example for other Marines facing similar challenges. Elena understood that her visible success could inspire others to pursue excellence despite skepticism or obstacles that might discourage less determined individuals. Rodriguez began planning informal training sessions that would allow Elena to share techniques with advanced students without compromising her intelligence duties. The arrangement would benefit multiple parties while respecting her preferences for discretion and focus. Elena's story had become part of Camp Pendleton's institutional memory, serving as a reminder that assumptions about capability could lead to significant tactical and professional errors. Her performance would be remembered long after the specific details faded from immediate recollection. The broken rifle remained in Elena's personal equipment as a reminder of the day when sabotage had backfired spectacularly, providing her with superior equipment and an audience to witness capabilities that skeptics had questioned without foundation. 1 year after her legendary competition performance, Elena found herself facing a new challenge that would test her capabilities under far more serious circumstances. Intelligence reports indicated hostile activity in a remote region where conventional military response will be complicated by terrain and political considerations. Colonel Martinez called Elena to his office for a classified briefing that would determine her involvement in an upcoming operation. Her marksmanship skills, combined with her intelligence background, made her uniquely qualified for a mission requiring both precision shooting and analytical capabilities. Sergeant Vasquez, we have a situation that requires someone with your particular combination of skills, Martinez explained during the secure briefing. The mission parameters align perfectly with your demonstrated capabilities. Elena listened to the operational details with professional interest, understanding that her competition performance had led to considerations for specialized assignments she had previously avoided. Her exceptional marksmanship was no longer just a personal achievement, but a tactical asset. The mission would require her to work with a small team in challenging terrain, providing both intelligence analysis and precision fire support as conditions demanded. Her ability to adapt quickly to unfamiliar equipment would prove valuable given the specialized gear requirements. Rodriguez had recommended Elena specifically for the assignment, citing her competition performance as evidence of skills that extended beyond normal military training. Sergeant Vasquez demonstrated capabilities under pressure that suggest extensive practical experience with precision shooting applications, his recommendation stated. Elena accepted the assignment with characteristic professionalism, though she recognized that success would likely lead to additional opportunities in specialized operations. Her preference for discretion would be challenged by the visibility that exceptional performance inevitably generated. Preparation for the mission required Elena to work with equipment specialists who provided gear specifically selected for the operational environment. The rifles and optics represented significant improvements over standard military issue, though she remained confident in her ability to adapt to any weapon system. These systems are optimized for extreme range precision shooting, the equipment specialist explained. Maximum effective range approaches 1,500 meters under ideal conditions, though environmental factors will limit practical applications. Elena examined the specialized equipment with professional appreciation, noting modifications and enhancements that would maximize accuracy under field conditions. The rifles represented significant technological advancement over the weapons she had used during the base competition. Team preparation included coordination with other specialists who would provide support functions during the operation. Elena's role would combine intelligence analysis with precision shooting as tactical situations developed, requiring flexibility and rapid decision-making under pressure. The team leader, Major Thompson, briefed Elena on her specific responsibilities during various operational scenarios. Your competition performance suggests capabilities that could prove decisive under the right circumstances. We're counting on your ability to deliver accurate fire at extended ranges. Elena appreciated the confidence, while understanding the weight of responsibility that accompanied such expectations. Mission success might depend on her ability to make precise shots under conditions far more challenging than any competition environment. Final preparations included range time with the specialized equipment, allowing Elena to become familiar with the ballistic characteristics and optical systems she would use operationally. Her adaptation to the new weapons was typically rapid and thorough. "Excellent shooting," the range instructor commented after Elena's familiarization session. "Your ability to adapt to new equipment is remarkable. Most shooters require weeks to achieve this level of consistency with unfamiliar systems." Elena's performance during preparation confirmed the assessment that had led to her selection for the mission. Her competition victory had provided visible proof of capabilities that operational commanders could leverage for specialized requirements. The night before deployment, Elena received final intelligence updates that would inform her analytical responsibilities during the mission. The combination of precise shooting and intelligence work represented an unusual but logical application of her diverse skill set. Rodriguez visited Elena before her departure to offer encouragement and professional guidance. "Sergeant, your performance during that competition changed how people view capability and assumption. This mission represents an opportunity to apply those skills where they truly matter." Elena appreciated the support while maintaining focus on mission requirements rather than personal achievement. Operational success would depend on professional execution rather than individual recognition or competitive scoring. Torino also approached Elena before deployment, offering maintenance tips for the specialized equipment she would carry. "Take care of your gear, and it will take care of you," he said. "Your shooting that day proved equipment is only as good as the person using it." The conversation reflected the professional relationship that had developed between them since the competition incident. Torino's initial skepticism had evolved into genuine respect for Elena's capabilities and character. As deployment approached, Elena reflected on the journey from competition controversy to operational assignment. Her broken rifle had led to a demonstration of skills that now qualified her for missions requiring the highest levels of precision and professionalism. The mission would test her abilities under conditions far more demanding than any competition, where missing the target carried consequences beyond scoring disappointment. Elena felt prepared for the challenge, confident in skills that had been proven under pressure. Her competition performance had opened doors to opportunities that aligned with her capabilities while serving broader operational requirements. The recognition she had initially avoided was leading to assignments where her skills could contribute meaningfully to mission success. Elena prepared her equipment methodically, understanding that operational effectiveness would depend on attention to details that might seem minor but could prove critical under field conditions. Her competition experience had taught valuable lessons about equipment reliability and performance optimization. The specialized mission represented validation of her exceptional capabilities while providing an opportunity to apply them in service of operational objectives that extended beyond personal achievement or competitive recognition. The mountain terrain stretched endlessly toward hostile territory, where Elena's team had established their observation post. 3 days of surveillance had revealed the target patterns that would determine the success of their mission. Intelligence analysis and precision shooting were about to converge in ways that would test every skill Elena had developed. Major Thompson studied the valley below through his binoculars, noting the movement patterns that matched Elena's analytical predictions. "Sergeant Vasquez, your assessment was accurate. Targets are following the schedule you projected based on intercepted communications." Elena adjusted her specialized rifle to compensate for the environmental conditions that would affect long-range accuracy. Wind patterns in the mountainous terrain created complex challenges that required constant recalculation and adjustment for each potential engagement. The primary target appeared at exactly the predicted time, moving along the route Elena had identified through careful analysis of intelligence reports and observed behavior patterns. The engagement range measured 1,300 meters across difficult terrain with variable wind conditions. "Target acquired," Elena reported through a radio headset. "Range 1,300 meters, wind variable from 8 to 15 miles per hour, left to right. Atmospheric conditions are marginal but acceptable for precision engagement." Thompson verified the target identification through his own optics before authorizing Elena to proceed with the engagement. Confirmed hostile target. You're cleared to engage when ready. Take your time and make it count. Elena settled into her shooting position with the methodical precision that had characterized her competition performance. The specialized rifle felt perfectly balanced, its advanced optics providing crystal-clear target resolution despite the extreme range and challenging conditions. Her breathing settled into the controlled pattern that preceded her most accurate shooting. Through the scope, she could see the target clearly despite the distance, noting movement patterns that would require precise timing for a successful engagement. The wind conditions demanded careful calculation of bullet drift over the extended flight time to target. Elena made final adjustments to her scope settings, accounting for the complex ballistic factors that would determine shot placement at 1,300 meters. Engaging target, Elena announced quietly, beginning her final aiming sequence. The crosshairs settled on the calculated lead point that would compensate for target movement and environmental factors affecting bullet trajectory. Her trigger press was smooth and deliberate, releasing the shot at the precise moment when all factors aligned for maximum accuracy. The rifle's recoil was absorbed by her solid shooting position as the bullet began its journey toward the distant target. The flight time seemed endless as Elena maintained her sight picture through the scope, watching for impact indicators that would confirm successful engagement. The target continued moving along the predicted route, unaware of the approaching threat. Impact occurred exactly where Elena had calculated, the target dropping immediately upon bullet arrival. The precision of the engagement was confirmed by her spotter, who had observed the entire sequence through independent optics. Perfect hit, Thompson confirmed. Target is down and mission objectives are achieved. Outstanding shooting under extremely challenging conditions. Elena's successful engagement eliminated a high-value target whose activities had threatened regional stability and American interests. The precision required for the shot exceeded anything she had demonstrated during competition shooting, yet she had executed it flawlessly under operational pressure. The team began immediate extraction procedures, understanding that their position would become vulnerable following the engagement. Elena quickly secured her equipment while maintaining security awareness that was critical for successful mission completion. Sergeant Vasquez, that shot will be remembered, Thompson said as they moved toward the extraction point. 1,300 meters in mountain terrain with variable wind conditions. That's exceptional marksmanship by any standard. Elena maintained her professional focus on mission completion rather than celebrating the successful engagement. Operational shooting differed fundamentally from competition performance, carrying consequences that extended far beyond personal achievement or recognition. The extraction proceeded smoothly, with Elena's analytical skills proving as valuable as her marksmanship in predicting enemy response patterns and safe movement routes. Her intelligence background had complemented her shooting abilities perfectly for the specialized mission requirements. During the flight back to base, Elena reflected on the engagement that had tested her capabilities under the most demanding circumstances possible. The broken rifle that had started her journey toward recognition had led to opportunities where her skills could serve critical operational objectives. Thompson completed his after-action report during the return flight, documenting Elena's performance for official records that would influence future assignment considerations. Sergeant Vasquez demonstrated exceptional marksmanship and analytical capabilities under operational conditions that exceeded normal training scenarios. The mission's success validated Elena's selection for specialized assignments, while proving that her competition performance had been indicative of capabilities that extended far beyond recreational shooting. Her skills have been tested under conditions where failure carried serious consequences. Rodriguez would later read Thompson's report with professional satisfaction, knowing that his recommendation of Elena for the mission had been fully justified by her exceptional performance under operational pressure. The competition had indeed revealed someone with extraordinary capabilities. Elena's operational success represented the culmination of a journey that began with a broken rifle and skeptical dismissal of her capabilities. Her response to sabotage had revealed skills that proved valuable in situations far more demanding than any competition environment. The engagement at 1,300 meters would be studied by military marksmanship instructors as an example of precision shooting under challenging field conditions. Elena's performance had set new standards for what was possible with proper training, equipment, and professional execution. As they approached base, Elena prepared for the debriefing sessions that would analyze every aspect of the mission for lessons learned and procedural improvements. Her shooting had been perfect, but the overall mission success required contributions from every team member. The specialized assignment had proven that Elena's capabilities extended beyond competition shooting to operational applications where precision and reliability could determine mission success or failure. Her skills have been validated under the ultimate test of combat conditions. The debriefing room at Camp Pendleton buzzed with controlled excitement as Elena's mission team provided detailed accounts of the successful operation. Her 1,300-meter engagement had exceeded all expectations for precision shooting under operational conditions, generating immediate interest from senior commanders and specialized units. Colonel Martinez reviewed the mission footage captured by the team's recording equipment, studying Elena's shooting technique and target engagement sequence with obvious professional fascination. Sergeant Vasquez, this represents textbook precision marksmanship executed under extremely challenging field conditions. Elena maintained her characteristic professionalism while answering detailed questions about her equipment selection, environmental calculations, and engagement decision-making process. Her responses revealed systematic thinking that impressed the assembled officers and instructors. Major Thompson provided additional context about Elena's analytical contributions to mission success. Sergeant Vasquez's intelligence work was equally impressive. Her target pattern analysis and route predictions proved completely accurate, enabling our tactical positioning and timing. The combination of exceptional shooting and analytical capabilities had created opportunities for assignments that few Marines could handle effectively. Elena's diverse skill set made her uniquely valuable for operations requiring both precision fire and intelligence analysis. Rodriguez attended the debriefing to observe firsthand the validation of capabilities he had recognized during Elena's competition performance. The shooting techniques Sergeant Vasquez demonstrated during base competition clearly translated to operational effectiveness under combat conditions. Senior officers from other commands had requested copies of the mission reports, recognizing the training value of Elena's performance for their own precision shooting programs. Her operational success provided real-world validation of techniques that could benefit other military marksmen. Elena's equipment had performed flawlessly during the mission, validating the specialized systems selected for extreme-range precision shooting. Her ability to maximize equipment effectiveness under field conditions demonstrated skills that complemented technological capabilities perfectly. The ballistic calculations required for that engagement were complex, the mission analyst explained to the debriefing team. Wind conditions, atmospheric density, target movement, and range estimation all had to be integrated perfectly for successful shot placement. Elena had executed those calculations under time pressure while maintaining the mental discipline required for precision shooting at extended range. Her performance demonstrated capabilities that extended far beyond normal military training expectations. The successful mission had generated formal recognition recommendations that would acknowledge Elena's exceptional performance under operational conditions. Her contributions had been decisive for mission success, while showcasing abilities that could prove valuable for future specialized assignments. Torino learned about Elena's operational success through unofficial channels that carried news of exceptional military achievements. His respect for her capabilities had evolved from grudging acknowledgement to genuine professional admiration based on proven performance under the most demanding circumstances. 1,300 meters in mountain terrain, Torino told Rodriguez during a chance encounter outside the base headquarters. That validates everything we saw during the competition and more. She's operating at a level most of us never reach. Elena's operational success had transformed her reputation from exceptional competition shooter to proven combat marksman, whose capabilities had been tested under conditions where failure carried serious consequences. Her skills had been validated beyond any reasonable doubt. The mission footage became required viewing for advanced marksmanship students, providing visual examples of precision shooting techniques applied under operational pressure. Elena's performance served as motivation and instruction for Marines pursuing similar capabilities. Rodriguez incorporated lessons from Elena's operational engagement into his training curriculum, emphasizing the mental discipline and systematic approach that had enabled her success under challenging conditions. Precision shooting requires integration of multiple skills executed under pressure. Elena continued her regular intelligence duties while processing assignment offers from specialized units that valued her unique combination of analytical and marksmanship capabilities. Her operational success had opened doors to opportunities she had previously avoided. The recognition was gratifying, but Elena remained focused on professional excellence rather than personal advancement. Her skills had proven valuable for critical missions, and she understood the responsibility that accompanied such capabilities. Colonel Martinez called Elena to his office for a private conversation about her future assignment options. Sergeant Vasquez, your performance has generated interest from commands that handle our most challenging missions. You have significant opportunities to consider. Elena listened respectfully to the various possibilities while maintaining her preference for discretion and controlled assignment progression. Exceptional performance had created options, but she wanted to make decisions based on professional considerations rather than recognition seeking. The operational success had validated every aspect of Elena's journey from competition controversy to combat effectiveness. Her broken rifle had led to a demonstration of skills that proved valuable under the most demanding circumstances possible. Thompson submitted his final mission report with strong recommendations for Elena's continued involvement in specialized operations. Sergeant Vasquez represents the ideal combination of technical skill, analytical capability, and operational reliability required for our most challenging assignments. Elena's 1,300-meter engagement would be remembered as an example of precision marksmanship executed under perfect professional conditions. Her performance had set new standards for what was achievable through proper training, equipment, and mental discipline. The mission's success represented more than personal achievement. It demonstrated the value of recognizing and developing exceptional capabilities regardless of their source or the assumptions that might initially obscure them. Elena had proven that excellence could emerge from unexpected places when given proper opportunity. Rodriguez felt profound satisfaction in having recognized Elena's potential during her competition performance. His recommendation for operational assignment had been validated by her exceptional success under combat conditions that tested every aspect of her capabilities. As news of the mission's success spread through appropriate channels, Elena's story became an inspiration for other Marines facing skepticism about their capabilities. Her journey from sabotage competition to operational success proved that excellence could overcome obstacles when supported by determination and skill. 2 years had passed since the broken rifle incident that had transformed Elena's military career from routine intelligence work to recognition as one of the Marine Corps' most capable precision marksmen. Her operational successes had led to assignments that utilized her unique combination of analytical and shooting skills. Elena stood before the advanced marksmanship class at Camp Pendleton, sharing lessons learned from her journey from competition controversy to combat effectiveness. The students listened with obvious respect for someone whose capabilities had been proven under the most demanding circumstances. Excellence in marksmanship requires more than equipment or natural talent, Elena explained to the assembled Marines. Mental discipline, systematic preparation, and adaptability under pressure determine success when conditions become challenging. The broken pieces of her original rifle were displayed as a teaching aid, demonstrating how obstacles could become opportunities when approached with proper mindset and professional determination. Her story had become part of the base's institutional memory. Rodriguez introduced Elena to each new class with obvious pride in her achievements. Sergeant Vasquez represents the highest standards of Marine marksmanship excellence. Her performance under both competition and operational conditions provides examples we can all study and emulate. Elena's techniques had been formally incorporated into advanced training curricula, where her competition performance and operational successes served as case studies for precision shooting under challenging conditions. Her methods had influenced training programs across multiple installations. Torino had become one of Elena's strongest advocates, sharing her story with anyone who questioned the importance of recognizing capability regardless of initial assumptions or prejudices. His own professional growth had been significant since their confrontational beginning. She proved that assumptions about people's capabilities can be dangerous mistakes, Torino told new instructors during orientation sessions. Elena Vasquez taught me to evaluate performance rather than make judgments based on preconceptions. Elena's operational record had generated assignment offers from the most elite units in the military, though she had chosen assignments that balanced specialized missions with her preference for discretion and controlled exposure. Her skills were too valuable to waste, but too sensitive for widespread publicity. The competition trophy from her legendary performance remained displayed in the base marksmanship office, where it served as inspiration for Marines pursuing excellence despite obstacles or skepticism they might encounter. Her victory had become symbolic of potential unleashed. Colonel Martinez had written commendations that formally recognized Elena's contributions to both competition excellence and operational success. Sergeant Vasquez exemplifies the Marine Corps values of honor, courage, and commitment through exceptional performance under the most challenging circumstances. Elena's story had spread beyond Camp Pendleton through professional networks that connected military marksmanship instructors and competitive shooters. Her performance had become legendary among those who understood the technical difficulty of her achievements. The specialized equipment she now used reflected her status as a precision shooting specialist, though Elena remained capable of exceptional performance with any weapon system through fundamental skills that transcended equipment advantages. Her adaptability remained her greatest asset. Students often asked Elena about her background and training history, seeking to understand how she had developed capabilities that exceeded normal military expectations. Her responses remained diplomatically vague, while emphasizing the importance of dedication and systematic skill development. Professional excellence requires commitment to continuous improvement, Elena told the current class. Every training opportunity, every practice session, every challenge you face contributes to capabilities that might prove critical when conditions become demanding. Rodriguez had been promoted partly based on his recognition and development of Elena's exceptional abilities. His program had produced measurable improvements in marksmanship capabilities across the base, with Elena's techniques serving as the foundation for advanced instruction. Elena's broken rifle had been repaired and modified to serve as a demonstration weapon for teaching equipment maintenance and customization techniques. The rifle that had been sabotaged had become a symbol of resilience and adaptation under challenging circumstances. As Elena concluded her instruction session, she reflected on the journey that had brought her from intelligence specialist to recognized marksmanship expert. The obstacles she had faced had ultimately led to opportunities that matched her capabilities with meaningful missions. The class applauded respectfully as Elena gathered her equipment, understanding that they had received instruction from someone whose skills had been proven under conditions they hoped to handle with similar effectiveness. Her example provided motivation for their own pursuit of excellence. Torino approached Elena after the class to discuss upcoming training schedules and equipment modifications for advanced students. Their professional relationship had evolved into mutual respect based on shared commitment to developing marksmanship excellence in other Marines. Elena, your influence on this program has been transformational, Rodriguez said during their post-class discussion. Students leave here with capabilities they never thought possible, largely because your example shows them what's achievable through proper dedication. Elena appreciated the recognition while maintaining focus on the broader mission of developing capable Marines who could perform effectively under challenging conditions. Her individual success was meaningful only if it contributed to overall military readiness and effectiveness. As she prepared to leave the training facility, Elena encountered new students arriving for basic marksmanship instruction. Their eager faces reminded her of her own early military training and the journey that had led to her current role as instructor and example. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where someone doubted your abilities before giving you a chance to prove yourself? Elena's story reminds us that sometimes the greatest obstacles can become our most powerful opportunities to demonstrate what we're truly capable of achieving. The broken rifle that had threatened to end Elena's competition participation had instead become the catalyst for a career transformation that showcased exceptional capabilities while serving critical operational requirements. Her story proved that excellence could overcome any obstacle when supported by determination, skill, and professional integrity. Elena Vasquez had transformed from intelligence specialist to legendary marksman through a journey that began with sabotage and ended with operational success that served national security interests. Her example would inspire future generations of Marines pursuing excellence despite challenges they might face. The sergeant who had broken her rifle had inadvertently created the opportunity for Elena to demonstrate capabilities that exceeded all expectations, proving that assumptions about people's potential could lead to significant tactical and professional errors with lasting consequences.